Hello, all, and welcome to the Movie Bears podcast. I'm Brad Harris, and each week I'm joined by husky, hairy, huggable homos who love film to discuss some movie news and review a film, sometimes two, if we're doing a double feature. Although this week, we're not. We've only got one movie because there's not a lot out right now in this pre-Captain America Civil War window to talk about. So this week we're reviewing Keanu, the new Key and Peele comedy that's out right now. But before we get to all that goodness, let me introduce you to some more goodness. Jim Pugliafico is with us. Welcome, Jim. Hello.
Hi, and welcome to the podcast, everyone.
And our very own Movie Bears podcast, Garden Gnome, is back with us. Will Lindis, welcome back from New York.
Hey, guys, it is so good to be back. Really glad to talk about movies and movie news this week. I'm glad. For months we've been doing the whole no movie news, and it's like we're kind of back on track with movie news again. I like that.
Gotta love it, right? Definitely. Yeah. I gotta ask, do you take a cone hat with you and take a picture in front of different buildings, Will?
No, I have not done that yet. I feel like I'm remiss for having not done that. So
I think you need one of those hats with an MBP logo on it.
I would gladly wear one of those for photo opportunities, and probably only that. Because, you can't really wear, a cone just around, but you can for special pictures. So, yeah. Get me one. I will gladly take some pictures around Austin and wherever else I travel, and we'll brand ourselves. We'll market ourselves. Let's do it. Yeah.
Perfect. Etsy, here we come. All right.
Are there any, Industrious fans out there? Send me one. I'll take it. Yeah.
We've got some pretty talented fans out there, I have to say, when it comes to arts and crafts. So I'm sure that somebody could work some cone magic and get something going for you.
Yay for cone magic.
All right. Well, anyway, we have a lot to talk about. So, guys, are we ready to just dive right in?
Yeah, totally ready. Let's do this thing.
All right, then here we go. Let's dish up some movie news. It's so funny. I was talking to Stephen Heslin about this on Movie Bears Podcast TV last week. We were reviewing Game of Thrones, and we left some silence to for me to go back in and edit the Game of Thrones theme, and we were swaying our heads back and forth, listening to the music in our head. Totally in sync. So I was deliberately watching you guys during that silence, and you're both doing it in your head with our little intro music. It was pretty special.
Absolutely. Of all of our different intro musics that we use, because we use trailers for movies and stuff like that, but our news one is very for me, it's very recognizable. I remember every single beat of it. It's a thing. It's part of our show. So yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's the one we have that we repeat more than any other, so that's the one we're going to remember. We don't have a theme song, so
not yet. People keep promising they come on the show. They're musical people. They're gotta get you guys a theme song. Well, 3 years. We're going on our 4-year in half a year. Still no theme song.
If we're gonna get one, we're gonna have to make a concerted effort to, charter some people to come up with something. Some of our more musically talented listeners and friends.
Fiverr.com, baby. We're gonna have to rely on that for our 5th year anniversary.
Can you please explain?
Oh, Fiverr.com is a website where anything you need done, you can put up there with. $5, you'll pay someone to do it, and they'll take the job. If we wanted a new logo, I could put $5 up and be make us a new logo, and it would be super shitty probably, but anyway.
But they'd collect their $5.
So you're saying that I could just wait until you post that, open MS Paint, and make free easy $5? That's what you're telling me.
If I put it up there. If I don't, you'd just be fucking around in MS Paint for nothing.
So in other words, what I do at work. Yeah, okay.
Wow. So we don't even have to accept it? It's just the first one submitted, you just get the $5? Is that how it works?
Something like that.
Wow, that's crazy.
Well, I guess for $5, it's sort of it's super low risk.
I mean, it could be like our logo, like written, I don't know, like with a bottle of ketchup in the shape of a penis or something. Like it could be totally weird and crazy, and we'd have to pay for it. So
Yeah.
anyway, hey, movie news. Check that out. I'm going to kick things off this week. I'm really excited. I know we talk about superhero stuff a lot on this show. I think it's sort of indicative of a lot of the movies that are coming out that are superhero related. Obviously, Captain America: Civil War is coming up next week already. This coming weekend.
Yeah, I think it's
Holy
coming.
crap.
Yeah, just a few
Year
days.
is flying by. But I want to talk about something DC related. A trailer for The Killing Joke has come out, a new rated R Batman and Joker movie from DC. And it's rated R, Jim. Yes, you're making a funny face. Is that over the R rating?
No, it's the whole thing. I've never heard of this before. Nothing to do with it.
Oh, okay.
I've heard of the Joker and Batman, obviously, but I have no idea what The Killing Joke is.
Well, we'll watch the trailer after the show. I don't want to spoil the actual story that it's really based on. It's a very famous like Batman, Robin, Joker-esque story, right? Will, is there something else I should be saying?
No, I think exactly that is right. Like when you think about the most memorable or the most popular or most widely talked about Batman stories, this is easily one of the top 5. Yeah. Like this is one of the most definitive Batman stories there is because of how it was written, the impact, other things that happen. Yeah.
Totally. So this thing is going to be, I don't know, watching the trailer, I'm pretty excited for it at this point. This is one of my favorite Batman stories from the comic books. It's not often that, like, a comic story really, like, fucking stabs me in the heart and kills me. But The Killing Joke is one of them, so I'm jazzed about this. Will, what are your thoughts? Did you see the trailer? I know you've been kind of away.
Yeah, I haven't seen the trailer, but I've seen some of the like stills from the trailer, and like I just haven't had a chance to tackle it yet. What excites me about this is coming from someone who we had the episode. I didn't enjoy the most recent the Batman v Superman story, but I do like Batman and Superman as characters. This is one of the absolute best Batman. Kevin Conroy does the voice acting for this animated feature. He is a fantastic Batman, and Mark Hamill is returning as the Joker, and he is one of the... Mark Hamill is, I mean, obviously everyone knows him as Luke Skywalker, but he's also one of the most talented, like, voice actors of, the last several decades as well. He's just one of those guys who has a transformative voice when he slips into these roles. To me, he is the Joker, even more so than, like, Jack or Heath. Mark Hamill is the Joker.
Cesar Romero.
More so than Caesar. Like, Mark Hamill is, for me... underline exclamation mark, he is the Joker. So yeah, I am super amped for this, Brad.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, I mean, they are my favorite Batman and Joker duo ever, so I'm pretty pumped that they're coming back for this. I've been playing a lot of like Arkham Knight recently, and of course they voice the characters in that series of games as well, so yeah. I'm like on a fucking Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill Batman high right now, so I'm super jazzed. I can't wait. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Killing Joke comes out when? I don't even know. I guess I could look it up. I wasn't prepared. It's coming out sometime, yeah. But anyway, I'm kind of jazzed. What have you got, Jim?
Let's see. We talked about a movie. We reviewed a movie that I think we all liked about, I don't know, a month or so ago called 10 Cloverfield Lane by director Dan Trachtenberg. And there was some news recently about him and the UK sci-fi series called Black Mirror. I don't know if Brad, I know you and I are big fans of that series. Will, you've seen it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love Black Mirror. They've only got 2 seasons, I think, in the books right now from Britain's Channel 4 network over there, and you get them through BBC or whatever. But Dan Trachtenberg is on board to direct at least one episode of the new series, Black Mirror. So I think that's awesome. I think what we saw from him in 10 Cloverfield Lane, his sensibilities there of kind of like I think fit with the mix of sci-fi and horror that is Black Mirror, kind of like if you think of like the Twilight Zone, that's kind of what we got in 10 Cloverfield Lane and in Black Mirror. So that's going to be, I think, really exciting to see what comes out of this new season. So the other thing about Black Mirror is it's been grabbed away from UK's Channel 4 by Netflix. I don't know if you guys knew that, but it is going to be a Netflix series now. So when they do release season 3, chances are they're going to release it like they do most of their series, right? Which is kind of all at once, and we'll be able to binge watch that thing, which will be really cool. Which is how I think we kind of watched the first couple seasons, because we caught them way after their release.
Right.
But it's been a long dry spell since we got the second season, and I'm really looking forward to this thing coming back. Looks like maybe 2017 is when we're going to get it. So sometime next year. No firm dates yet, but something to look forward to. And good for Dan Trachtenberg, who's I think doing some cool stuff.
Black Mirror was totally my introduction to Domhnall Gleeson.
Right.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. He was in one of the episodes from season 1, I think.
Yeah.
I forget.
Was it 1 or 2?
I can't. Maybe it was 2. I'm not sure.
I don't remember. Yeah. Anyway, I just remember thinking, man, I love this actor. Like, he looks like he belongs in a Harry Potter movie. But I'm like, I think he's going to go on to do cool stuff. And we've had several things now that he has been phenomenal in, and more to come. So thank you for that, Black Mirror. But I'm excited too.
And any of you listeners that haven't caught up with that yet, find that. I don't know where you can find it right now. I don't know how, maybe through Hulu or something. I'm not exactly sure where we found it, but go out and look at the first 2 series. It's only 3 episodes a season, I believe, because it's one of those UK series like Sherlock and that stuff. But I'm pretty sure when Netflix releases it, it's going to be more than 3 a season.
Well, I think the first 2 seasons are on Netflix too.
They are.
Are they on
Netflix?
Netflix?
Where I watch them. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
You got Netflix? Go watch them. They're great.
There you go. How about some Netflix and chill with some Black Mirror?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, good stuff, Jim. It had kind of fallen off my radar a little bit, to be honest, because it's been so long. So actually, I really appreciate the reminder. Now I kind of want to go back. I comfort rewatch shows. Like, I don't know what new show to start. I'm in a slump right now. I don't have anything new that I'm like definitively, oh my god, I have to watch. So I comfort watch. Maybe this will be this week's comfort watch. I don't know.
I don't know that I could Netflix and chill the first episode, the pig episode. That seems like a weird one, right? Yeah.
Maybe a little bit. Yeah, just a touch.
Yeah.
There's some disturbing stuff in there.
Maybe instead of Netflix and chill, it's like Netflix and pork. Yeah.
Oh goodness. Netflix and ill.
Yeah.
That was something.
Yeah.
All right, Will, what have you got?
Yeah, well, I don't know that this news is going to make us any less sick to our stomach, or at least not me. So one of the things that's been kind of rumored around Hollywood for like a couple of years now has been apparently LeBron James has been like really, really pushing for the idea of making Space Jam 2 starring him. Now, for those that don't remember, Space Jam 1 was a movie from the, kind of early 90s, I believe, that starred Michael Jordan and Bill Murray and the cast of, like, the Looney Tunes characters against, like, in a basketball match against some, like, aliens who are also animated. And it's a bad movie. It's, like, Space Jam 1 is a bad movie. But one of those ones that just kind of felt like a relic of its time, whatever. It's kind of fun to look back and kind of laugh and say, oh, that's a thing. Well, apparently LeBron James has been pushing for this really heavily ever since kind of being positively reviewed in Trainwreck. He had a supporting role there. And we are finally at the point where it looks like they are moving forward with Space Jam 2 starring LeBron James. Now, this is very, very, very early development. Warner Brothers is producing it. They've got the guy that wrote Bad Words. Remember we talked about that one, Jim.
Jason Bateman.
Yeah. So Andrew Dodge, who wrote that, and Alfredo Botello, who I don't remember what he ended up writing. But those two are in works to write that. And it looks like they're talking to Justin Lin, who did Star Trek Beyond and other things, for the direction. So it's super early production. This is a thing that's going to happen way out. I'm not excited to see this movie. I grew up with like the Looney Tunes, as everyone did, you know, and this was not their greatest showing. You know, when I think about like all of their greatest works, this is kind of lower on the list. And I don't know that LeBron necessarily has, for me, the same charisma that like Michael Jordan has to kind of like make you, I guess, kind of overlook some of the flaws. I think that it's very potentially going to be a train wreck, pun intended. But it's still something that I'm going to be keeping my eye out on, just because it's interesting as hell to me. I don't know. Does this sound like something you guys want to see?
I believe I can fly. Oh, sorry.
What is that?
Space Jam 1 had the R. Kelly song.
Oh,
I
I didn't see it. I did not see it.
What? Then how did you think
You guys
the Sloth? How did you think the Sloth video with the "I Believe I Can Fly" song? You like missed out on a whole level of funniness.
I think I did. I think I missed that layer. Like that video was so layered with themes and everything. I could not grasp it. I just thought it was a funny Sloth video, but whatever. No, I never caught the first. I mean, I was aware of it, but wow, back in the early '90s, I mean, there was no reason really for me to go see, you know, a movie about, you know, crazy animated Looney Tunes basketball stars, you know, just at that time of my life. And so if this thing comes out and we're excited about it, I'm going to have to go back and watch Space Jam, the first one, I guess. Right?
I'm so sorry,
Brad.
Jim. I'm so sorry.
Is that near and dear to your heart, Brad? Did I just hurt you by saying I never saw Space Jam?
You didn't hurt me.
Are we going to have to do The Last Dragon Space Jam double feature?
I think we may have to. I don't know. Space Jam 1 was not like my favorite movie ever, but I mean, I love the Looney Tunes, and that was back when I like had a Michael Jordan like Chicago Bulls Trapper Keeper or something.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was kind of a thing back then.
Interestingly enough, and this is another thing that interests me about this. There's kind of a joke on lots of like parts of the internet about the fact that the original like marketing website that Warner Brothers put out for Space Jam, you know, they put out websites for these movies, right? Well, they had a website for Space Jam that no one ever took down. So, like, the original, like, mid-90s website with all of its same graphics and styling, in 1996, there is a 20-year-old Space Jam website that is still functional. And I'm going to be really fascinated to see if they do anything with that website now that, like, it's kind of infamous across the web as kind of an example of, like, an artifact of the mid-90s. I'll be really interested to see if they do anything with it now or if they leave it as is. So, yeah.
It's kind of crazy. I'm afraid to click on anything because I don't want to shut the show down or anything.
I'm clicking it. Oh, it opens up in the show window, I think. Am I still here?
Yeah, you are. You have options to look at the press box shuttle, Jam Central. You can travel to Planet B-Ball.
Wow.
There's
That's pretty
Junior
awesome.
Jam. Yeah.
You know what's really funny though? I should have listened to Jim's advice because while I can still hear you guys, I can't see you, and I have no controls to like go back.
Oh no!
I told you. I
don't know what to do. How do I get back to the show?
I don't know.
Hit the escape key.
Just do it blind.
Escape?
No one will ever know the difference.
Maybe. I don't know.
Escape did not do it.
Oh.
All right, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
No, and when I right-click the page, there's no like back option. Oh my God, what did I do? What did I do? All right, let's keep going. It's all good. I'll just look at the 90s Space Jam website the whole show.
That is like the best thing I have ever heard.
I just thought it was. I just thought it was weird because the Looney Tunes that I grew up with was not like a, pro sports basketball. Like, you'd never see the Looney Tunes gang, like, I don't know, they were always out chasing roadrunners and, I don't know, whatever. Just didn't seem to fit my sensibilities at the time. It just seemed like kind of a gimmick, but it did definitely caught on and made a cultural impact at some point, at least for people of a certain age like you guys.
One of the things that works best about the Looney Tunes overall is that those characters are very adaptable. Like if you think about like original Looney Tunes cartoons, and the Disney cartoons are kind of the same in a lot of ways. They got really subversive, and they could some of them were just like Nazi propaganda and stuff like that, and then you got some really trippy, weird things kind of through the '60s, and then even Looney Tunes itself had a bunch of spin-offs that were extremely successful, like Tiny Toons and stuff like that. So I think the form itself wasn't necessarily the thing that weirded me out. I did kind of have a problem with the fact that they introduced a character solely for the fact of they didn't have enough female characters, so they just slapped boobs on a bunny and called it a character. Right. Like Lola Bunny was like probably one of the worst cartoon characters I think that franchise has ever put out. I don't know.
Indeed. Well, we'll see what happens. Anyway, well, shall we switch gears? Shall we get to our movie? What do we think?
Yes. Let's do so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Dive in. Let's see what we can find in this thing.
Yeah.
All right. So I will just go ahead and say this up front, as is normal. If you are new to the show and you're not familiar with how things work, we are going to talk about Keanu, spoiler-free, for probably about 10 or 15 minutes. If you're not sure if you want to see this movie, if you want to know our first thoughts, feel free to hang out for that discussion after you hear the trailer. And we'll give you a fair warning before we take you to Spoiler Town. But here we go, our discussion of Keanu. All right, so
meow.
Who wants to kick this thing off? Oh my gosh.
All right. I can dive in with this one. Yeah.
Take it away.
I will take this one.
Please.
So here's what you need to know about Keanu. First of all, this is a movie that is written by starring and kind of featuring the talents and the stylings of Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele, Key and Peele of the fairly popular comedy sketch show. The plot of this movie is there are these two friends, both of which are kind of experiencing different ruts in their life, who come across this kitten who they absolutely adore, but once the kitten is stolen by some members of the street gang, they have to pose as drug dealers and kind of undercover, like, I don't know, like hitmen, badass, I don't know, to try to get the kitten back. So I was really excited going into this movie because Key and Peele are two of the sharpest comedic minds out there right now. Their sketch comedy show is one of the funniest things that has come out in the last decade. They have an ability to pair comedy in its kind of most coarse, base sense with biting satire, with great political commentary that's funny and not just like beaten over the head, and they're also fantastic at playing just a variety of characters. Unfortunately, the problem with Keanu as a movie is we don't see enough of the things that really make them great. I'm going to start off by saying I don't hate this movie. I do not hate the movie Keanu, but I didn't really like it. It feels like at an hour and 40 minutes, it's like about an hour and 30 minutes too long. This would have been a fantastic like 5 to 10 minute comedy sketch. And when you drill it down to that point, there are some great performances in here. There are some great jokes in here. There is an absolutely adorable cat, but there is just so much filler that kind of pulls you from section to section. that it makes it really hard for me to be excited about this film. I really wish they had kind of come up with a different idea. I feel like they reached their kind of the extent of this film's humor fairly early on and just kind of stumbled around from there. Don't get me wrong, there are some moments in this that are pure genius, and I think that just shows their ability as performers and as writers, but this was not the right story for them to stretch into a feature, unfortunately. It is not a recommend from me. I look forward to seeing what they come up with next. I've seen these guys in supporting roles in so many other people's movies, and they consistently perform whenever they're put in front of the camera. And their own comedy show was so good. I know they've got a great feature in them. This just wasn't it. So it's not a recommend from me, but I'm not writing these guys off yet.
All right. All right. So there's one opinion here, maybe not the greatest thoughts on this film. I still can't see anything but the Space Jam logos, so it's making my eyes go crazy with all the stars on the page.
Why? So why don't you go next then, and
I'm
tell
going
us what
to.
you kind of...
I'm going to. I was like stalling while I pulled the agenda up through Facebook chat. So I realize I'm next now. So okay, I gotta say, right? So I gotta say, this movie I was not excited to see. It was at South by Southwest. It ended up being one of the screenings there, and I was like not sad at all that we didn't go see it while it was there. I heard a lot of people say, "Oh my God, it was so funny. That was great." I think I've mentioned before, comedy is a weird thing for me. Like I think it's just hard for comedy movies in general to trip my funny trigger. So I'm usually not excited about a comedy film. So we went to see this, and we just came back from like a weekend-long bear event, drinking, sitting around the pool, whatever. It was a very nice, relaxing, awesome weekend. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to end this weekend going to see this movie. And so I was trying not to let that influence my thoughts, and I don't think it did. There were some things that I genuinely found funny. Most of the stuff revolving around Keanu the cat, and some of the I don't know how to talk about it without spoiling. Some of the musical choices and things that happen around those choices I very much enjoyed. The rest of the movie unfortunately just didn't do much for me. It felt a lot like a Family Guy joke that's supposed to go on for 30 seconds that goes on for 5 minutes, only this went on for like 195 minutes. It went on way too long for me, and I feel like it played itself out relatively quickly. It got very repetitive, so you move from one situation to the other, and it's pretty much the exact same thing happening, just like 50 times over, before you get to the end, and it's like, okay, I see how we got here, I see how things ended, but like I just did not feel at all like I was glad. The only reason I was glad to be at the end was because it meant I could go home and watch Game of Thrones, which was burning a hole in our HBO Go. So not a big recommend for me, even as a cat lover, and I did love the cat in this movie. It just wasn't enough that I'd be like, hey, go to movie theaters to see this. I would say, though, if you really dig Key and Peele's comedic styles, if you like cats, I mean, this could be like a fun bro movie or a fun bro date movie if your relationship has like the bro dynamic. I mean, it could be both. Why not? But it's not something that I would recommend like rushing out to go see. Maybe wait for a rental. I don't know. Jim, what about you?
Yeah, I went into this movie knowing about Key and Peele, but I never did really watch. I think I caught maybe one or two sketches of theirs like on YouTube, but never really watched the show. So, but I had heard a lot, and I was really excited about going to see this movie because like you said, Will, these guys are kind of at the forefront of comedy, of sketch comedy today, and making the jump to the movie was going to be exciting to see if they could pull it off. But man, I certainly hope that some of the stuff that we got in this movie was not indicative of what they can do, because the movie felt like a missed opportunity to me for guys who are probably talented. I noticed that only one of them was really involved in the writing of this movie, and I don't know if that's the way they operate typically, like on the sketch show. Only Jordan Peele was involved in or credited as a writer at least. Who knows? Maybe the other guy contributed during production and didn't get writing credit, but who knows? And you're in trouble when your MacGuffin in the movie is the most interesting character. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Neither one of the two guys had an interesting character. One of them, we'll get to, was downright irritating most of the time, and that's not good unless you're really funny. And he really wore me down a little bit. Actually, the movie worked a little bit maybe in the first act, and I can pinpoint a point in the movie where this movie kind of went south for me. There was one scene about a third of the way through, and we'll get to that in spoilers. It went on way too long. It was actually two scenes running concurrently at the same time, and they both jokes went on way too long, and it from there the movie kind of went downhill and really didn't get out of its own way. There were some things in the movie that kind of pulled me out of the movie, like dumb things, like the way the movie looked, the way that it was shot was something about it just looked really like substandard. There were some like focus issues in some spots, and there was a stunt near the end of the movie that I thought was terribly done with stunt doubles. That like when you're looking at something and you're like, oh, that guy's obviously a stunt double. I mean. And it just kind of takes you out of the movie. I have more to say in spoilers. I think the movie didn't. I don't know if the movie had anything on its mind other than trying to be funny. This movie deals with, without spoiling, it deals with some pretty heavy subject matter. One of them is gang violence. But I don't know if the movie had on its mind trying to make any kind of statement about that stuff, other than being cute and funny. Other than that, I mean, there were some effective parts. There was some, let's just say some, like you said, Brad, some of the stuff that centered around the music. There was a sequence in the middle of the movie that I thought was pretty funny. And I did like the cats. I heard they used multiple cats, of course. And actually, you could kind of tell in some spots, like where they used different kittens for the different scenes. And I like a specific joke right at the end of the movie, which was like, we'll get to it. We'll get to it in spoilers. I don't want to spoil it. And I did like at the beginning of the movie there was some bonding going on between, one of the characters played by Jordan Peele. I think it was Jordan Peele. He was he's the shorter one, right? I think he's the shorter one. And he played what was his name?
Yeah,
anyway,
Rel
or Tectonic.
Tectonic, yeah.
Tectonic. And I just kind of liked the way he interacted with the pet at the beginning. There were some funny scenes there. But in the end, I could never recommend this movie. There was just not enough funny in a funny movie. There was some. I mean, I was listening to the audience, and there was some giggling going on, and some people were getting into it and enjoyed it. So, maybe it's just not for me. Maybe a lot of people would find this. There weren't a lot of laugh out loud moments, but maybe enough giggles to keep some people in. But I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, and I feel like I definitely had, like, there were some laugh out loud moments for me, but they were spaced out so much that, like, if I want 5 laugh out loud moments, I don't know that was the number, but if I want 5 laugh out loud moments, I can watch 15 minutes of YouTube videos. Like, an hour and 40 minute movie should deliver much more than that. So it's probably not a good sign. I think just kind of listening to our feedback here, I think I was maybe the most positive on it, and I think I'm also like the one, and I also said I don't recommend it, so that's probably a pretty damning side for this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I like you, Will. I mean, maybe these guys deserve another shot at trying to do, but I mean, we see this time and time again where we have, people from Saturday Night Live that try to bring movies to the screen, you know, like David Spade and Joe Dirt, and you know, that a lot of times it just never gains traction. We think that, oh my God, it's so funny on TV, we got to make a movie about that, and they typically don't work. I think it's very rare that they do work. Here, the plot just was not up to snuff. I think for the talent of these two guys, and I'm surprised they didn't recognize that earlier on.
Interestingly enough, these two guys, like one of the things that is really great about them is even when they're not doing their own works, especially Keegan-Michael Key, the taller of the two guys, he shows up in a lot of movies. Like, he's just a guy that you see a lot of times, sometimes even in smaller parts. But he's like, you give him a good script and he will deliver a memorable role. And so it's one of those things where it's not even a matter of him necessarily transitioning from small screen to big screen, but more like from supporting role to leading role. And I think he's got it in him. He is so freaking talented. This is a guy, I mean, both of them, but I think especially Keegan-Michael Key is someone that I just find to be remarkable on screen, and I just wish he had more to work with than what he had to work with here.
Yeah. His character here was the one that kind of annoyed me. About halfway through the movie, I was totally over that character.
We've seen it before, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, his same plot line is one that one of the guys goes through in the Hangover movie. He's just like, I'm whipped, but now I want to be tougher. Like that's his plot, you know. And
the nervous, the anxious, you know, guy who screams all the time.
Yeah, we've seen it, and we've seen it better, and he's better than this. Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I you know, because there's a musical element to this movie, I have a musical element to capstone my thoughts on the film. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, here we go. Yep. It's kind of a 3-0 recommends from us, right?
Yeah.
Oh well.
Indeed.
Can't win them all.
I do want to talk about, and I guess when we get to spoilers, if maybe we're ready to transition there now.
So
I think
there are. So we're gonna go ahead. Spoilers, fair game. Blah 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 blah. You know the deal. We are gonna go ahead and spoil the film. So if you don't want to be spoiled, come back in 10 minutes for our plugs. You know we want you to plug you. But Will, if you want to check things off, go for it.
We're not even kidding around. Like, we are absolutely going to spoil this thing right meow. So, Brad, you mentioned the musical element, and I think that's where we should start.
Agree.
Jim, you alluded to it too. I think that the musical elements, like, there was a lot of focus on George Michael and Wham and all of that here, and it was funny. It went on too long. There was too much of it. But it did supply.
There was one scene in the one scene that I was talking about that didn't work. There were actually two together. Was the first drug deal scene that went on in the mansion with the guest appearance, and that whole scene inside, and then the scene inside the van. While it was, you know, it's one of those kind of one joke things that just goes on and on and on forever around the music, and that really didn't work for me. The musical one that did work for me was there was a dream sequence in the middle of the movie where I think it's Clarence, was that the character's name? The taller guy. He takes a hit of the holy shit drug.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And I was drinking water at the time in the movie theater, right? I was taking a drink of water, and they go into this dream sequence, and the beginning of the is it the Freedom video or something? I don't know. One of the comes on, and I like almost snorted water out of my nose. I mean, that was the only laugh out loud moment that came at the worst time because I was drinking water. But I thought that was pretty funny. I know dream sequences are kind of cliche, but in this movie where there wasn't much else to laugh at, I thought it worked pretty well.
Well, especially for a writing team that, you know, the other guy that wrote on this film, what's his name? Alex
Rubens.
Alex Rubens. So he writes a lot of the episodes of Key and Peele. So, like, The dream sequence felt like it was a sketch in and of itself, and I think that's why it worked so well. Is because it was concentrated humor over a short period of time. They didn't have to really worry about transitioning that scene too much in, too much out, or making it connect too much. It was just, let's do something funny right here, and that, I think, is the film's big flaw. Is that it knew how to be funny. It just didn't know how to connect the funny. It didn't know when to stop the funny. Brad, you mentioned like a Family Guy episode. That's absolutely right. Like a lot of the stuff even the stuff that did work, they sabotaged themselves by letting it just keep going and going and going.
Yeah. Right at the beginning, there's a scene with them in the car where one of them has to get the last word in. You know what I mean? And it keeps going and going and going. I'm like, okay, guys, come on, we get it. Move on to the next scene. But yeah.
You know what I did like was, and this is an actual real product. You can purchase this. Part of me is thinking about doing it. The kitten poster, or not poster, the calendar that's in this movie. Warner Brothers has actually apparently released that thing. And
wow!
It's freaking
that
adorable.
Was funny.
Like, they recreate in this film. They recreate, since we're in spoilers, they recreate like famous scenes from movies using this ridiculously adorable cat, who to me was honestly the scene stealer of the film, and who starred in probably too little of the film, I think, for my taste because of that.
The whole middle of the film, the cat basically disappears.
Yeah, he's just a MacGuffin. We've got to get back the thing, and the cat is the MacGuffin. But all through, but this calendar is super cool. It plays through the closing credits, and part of me wants to buy it because it's adorable. Part of me is also like, I don't know if I really want to financially support this film any more than I already have. So I don't know. It's my decision I've got to make right now.
Right. It was kind of for you guys. Think of the closing credits of like 22 Jump Street, where they put
very similar
into different movie things, and that's what they did with the cat. So it was very derivative, but it was still kind of humorous to see, especially where the rest of the movie was so weak. Stuff like that kind of stood out. Yeah, and I would have loved for this movie to be like more of a satire of something. Like if it poked fun at something specific, like in a serious way, like white privilege or the gang mentality of violence or something like that. There were opportunities there that I think they could have, and it didn't have to be serious, but it could have been really biting satire, and they didn't really go for that. And I think that falls under the missed opportunity for me.
One thing I want to ask you guys about, because one thing I did enjoy about the movie, I don't want to just completely trash it, but because again, it's not one we recommend. But one thing I did like was there's a point where they join up with this gang of drug dealers, led by the actor's Method Man, and he's got
Cheddar.
Playing Cheddar, and he's got this crew featuring a few different people, including Jason Mitchell, who we were all really big fans of in Straight Outta Compton.
Right. Yes. Absolutely.
I all four, I guess, plus Cheddar makes five. All five of those gang members were really interesting characters, even if they only had like one short line to say. There's this guy named Stitches who was like super, like I don't know, very what's the right word for it? He didn't have a lot to say, or he just kind of used these like very short, cut-off sentences. I liked those characters. They didn't have the best material, but I think the actors really outperformed the material there. That was me, though. What did you guys think?
Oh, yeah, I loved it. I mean, there was a great scene between Rel and High C in there. I thought that a really quiet scene when he's like talking to her about, do you ever want to get out of the gang, and blah blah blah. I thought that scene was pretty effective, even in that movie, and I was really impressed with that. If there was more stuff like that in the movie, I think I may have liked it more. But yeah, I mean, like I said, there were some things I liked about the movie. Most of the first act, the setup, I thought was good. When Keanu's disappearance, Will Forte coming in as I forget the drug dealer's name. Oh, Hulka, the drug dealer. And so I like the kind of the setup of the film right up to that first drug deal, and then it kind of started to fade after that. I talked about the dream sequence, and of course, any scene with the cat I thought was pretty good, especially where he's like, get that bitch, and he's training the cat to like claw the picture. It's good stuff, and I actually liked the Rel character a lot more than I liked the Clarence character. I don't know if that was intentional. They made the Clarence character really irritating. Super irritating.
The Rel character, I think, was the one that was tied more to the two major plot lines, which was the kind of the romantic-ish whatever plot line with High C, and to the paternal-ish relationship with the cat. So, I mean, I think you could definitely say that the Rel character was the lead, and Clarence was the co-lead, but definitely more supportive in the storyline. I mean, all the major relationships that he are Rel and then his wife, who's only in like 2 tiny scenes. So, so it's totally one of those things where I think it's okay to like Rel better in this because it's definitely Rel has more of the moving parts of the film.
Right. I mean, I would definitely maybe go back and check out more of their sketch comedy.
Sure.
But I think I want to see what they can do. When they're given better material.
Yeah, and they have the ability to write this better material. And go ahead, Brad. I clipped you.
No, I was just going to say I think maybe that's the solution for me is like I liked some of the comedy, but it went on so long. Obviously, it's like one sketch that went way too far. Maybe I would enjoy it a lot more in smaller doses. You know what I mean? And sketch comedy would certainly provide that. So I would definitely be willing to check out more of it.
Let's maybe do that. Would you guys be interested in watching one of their episodes between now and next episode and just check it? We don't have to do a segment on it, but just kind of checking in and saying,
check back and say, hey.
Yeah.
For all the trash we did on the movie,
because it is worth it. Like those guys, especially, they get into some really good like political satire stuff. Not necessarily heavily handed, but they poke fun at race. They poke fun at the role that like class and race play in film and society, in politics, and they do so in a way that's always funny. And it's disappointing to see two guys that I think are at the top of their. What's interesting is those two guys and Amy Schumer. For the longest time, and to this day, I would say that two of the funniest just kind of sketch shows of recent years have been Amy Schumer and Key and Peele, and both have recently transitioned to film, and I think Amy Schumer did it a little more successfully with Trainwreck.
Possibly. See how this movie ends up doing.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to talk about. I'm sorry, Will. Were you going to say something?
I was just going to say the only other thing that I'd recommend about this movie is like I think that as much as I kind of panned this one, I think we all did. I think I don't know if this is necessarily a recommendation or not, but when this film hits iTunes or Netflix or VOD or something like that, I think that this is definitely the type of movie that if you have a group of friends over and you're not necessarily like super invested in the film, like maybe you're catching up or getting stoned or whatever watching this movie, I think that there is certainly something to be said for like this movie in that capacity. So I think that maybe it's going to have a better shelf life on, kind of out of theaters than it'll have in theaters.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, like I said, I don't think I'd recommend that anybody go out, but if they come across it at at a friend's party or something, it might be worth checking into. There was a scene in here when the wife of Clarence goes on some kind of trip with the next door neighbor and the daughter, and I didn't understand what the hell was going on in that scene. That was very weird. It's almost like maybe they rewrote that at like halfway through the movie or something, because it seemed really weird, like she was sneaking away almost. Didn't it come across to you that way at the beginning? And then at the end it was turned around like, oh no, she was just there and the guy did something stupid or so. I don't know.
No, you actually read that scene correctly, and the fact that it was kind of confusing, it kind of speaks to the point that they didn't write it well enough. But the humor of that scene is supposed to fall on the fact that Clarence is such a mouse of a man that he very obviously knows, he even raises his eyebrows and then kind of shakes it away at the end of that scene, that his wife is going to fool around with this dude on this trip. And because the dude is like, oh, my wife couldn't make it because of, like, and it was this super contrived reason. Yeah. And Clarence does nothing about it. So the punchline of it's supposed to be at the end of the movie, he's more macho, he knows how to take charge, he punches the dude out, and the wife's like, falls back in love with him because of just how much he's changed and how strong a male he is. That's actually kind of funny, but it wasn't funny the way that it was presented. Like, we needed another line. Like, even if Rel had been something like, had said something to Clarence like, that man's fucking your wife right now. No, he's not. He's totally not. No, he's right now. He's fucking your wife. Like if they had maybe played around with that instead of some of the other banter they had, I think that payoff at the end would have worked a little more.
But then they switched to playing off the wife as the victim there. Like, it's like a victim of some kind of inappropriate thing that the guy did, even though they obviously were playing it as though she was sneaking away to do something with this guy. So I was totally confused about that.
Yeah, not as much the victim and more just like, I think that she more recognized him as a masculine man when he punched her out. But again, it wasn't. I get what they were going for. I understood it. I just don't think they did it well. Like, you're supposed to, when that punchline happens, you're supposed to laugh, or you're supposed to cheer, you're supposed to be invested. And I was just like, oh yeah, that was that thing from earlier in the movie.
Right.
Well, no, but I mean, it happened over the phone. She told him before the trip ended. She told him over the phone during in between two drug deals or whatever.
Oh yeah.
That so and so, I have to tell you something. So and so did something inappropriate to me. Like, she was really upset about, I don't know, totally, it felt really weird.
It was bad writing. It was bad writing is what it was. And this film also suffered from multiple ending syndrome. Like, there were several moments there at the end where I'm like, okay, well, this is the moment where the film's going to end, and then, like, something else would happen. There'd be another action. Yeah, like, more shit would happen. Kind of kept going and kept going. And so that was a little disappointing. Like, for a movie that our main criticism is that the joke went on too long, the fact that they didn't end the movie like 20 minutes earlier is a fucking sin, is what it is.
Yeah, it is. Because, like, that last 20 minutes, you're just constantly like, oh, come on. Like, when is this gonna end?
Good sound drop, Brad.
Bring back the cat. Bring back the cat.
That's my biggest complaint, and then we can move on to some plugs and finish up here. But so for a movie called Keanu, that's ostensibly about this cat, we get the cat for like all of 5 minutes, and the cat was my like gateway into the film. So I was kind of disappointed we did not get more of it. But
bait and switch.
But I do want to go back to that holy shit moment that he had, because was that Keanu Reeves voicing the cat?
Yes, it was. He's uncredited.
I'm pretty sure it's uncredited, right?
He's on the IMDb page as the uncredited voice of the cat. Yes.
I thought so, because I was like, man, if it's not him, it's someone who sounds just like him.
And the Bill and Ted's joke he snuck in there too, right?
Right, totally. So it's actually got me like excited for the new Bill and Ted movie. It's going to be going into production at some point.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, but I did really like the use of the cat in a lot of different ways. It was fun, kind of watching the cat like run in like sped up motion, or sometimes it was slow motion, or I don't know. I enjoyed that. I wish that we would have had more of the cat throughout the film.
Absolutely. Like, this is a movie that I think where I would have liked to have seen it gone is so. You've got this story about this like pet that goes missing, or something happens to the pet. The pet's named Keanu, but for me it immediately drew parallels to the movie John Wick, which is a movie about a man seeking vengeance because of a pet. And I actually wanted to see more. I don't know, like I wanted to see like a cool homage to that in some way.
Yeah.
Not that John Wick is like a cultural touchstone that needs an homage or anything like that, but if you're already making the reference to Keanu, like, why not? Like, it makes total sense. I wanted to see more of the cat. I wanted to see less of Tectonic and Shark Tank. I think that was the part where the movie kind of jumped the rails for me. Like, I thought that was going to be like names that they assumed for a few minutes as part of a joke.
Right.
And then those were the personas they occupied for the rest of the film. I thought it was just like they were going to do a gag. They were going to have to like spend 5 minutes pretending to be these gangsters and then move on to the next thing. And I really misjudged that. Yeah, I wanted to see more of the cat. The cat was adorable.
Totes, my goats. Agree. Well, guys, are we ready for plugs? Have we reached that time?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so it is plug time. This is where we tell you about things we're excited about, that we want you to be excited about. So, Jim, why don't you kick us off? What you got?
You guys like trailers, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
I'm going to plug a trailer this time because I didn't get to see many other movies this weekend. We were kind of busy with a bear run up in Phoenix, which is a great time.
By the way, quick interruption. I saw pictures. I heard you guys' posts. I feel jealous of the experience you guys had. It looks like you guys had a blast. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
man, if you and Wiggles ever get a chance, man, this is like one of the best events in the country. It is around the pool all weekend long, people from all over. Fur Fest in Phoenix is what we're talking about.
And by the way, so at least a few of our friends mentioned that they're trying to get to the Austin event.
Austin show, yeah, I will be
yeah.
at that one again. I kept seeing people that I've known, just like, oh, so and so is there, and I don't know as many people as you guys do, and so it was just nice for me just to kind of live vicariously through that experience. So anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Anyway, unintended plug for bear runs, but that's okay. This trailer I just caught today, and I hadn't heard anything about this movie. It's a science fiction drama. Think Gravity or The Martian, which is kind of like hard sci-fi drama about an astronaut kind of on a one-way solo mission to colonize Mars. And it stars Mark Strong as the astronaut, as the captain in the lead role. It's also got Luke Wilson in this movie. It's called Approaching the Unknown. Check out this trailer. It looks really, really cool. It's about this guy. I can't tell if it's a government-run mission or maybe a private company that was stood up to make this kind of one-way mission to colonize Mars. It's kind of weird if you think about it in concept. I don't know what happens on the mission. The trailer indicates that some things maybe go haywire. Don't know if he gets there. I don't know if he gets back. But and it reminded me a lot of both Gravity and The Martian. But check it out. It's definitely one I'm going to be looking forward to. It gets a release. It might be a soft release around early June this year. So check it out. It's called Approaching the Unknown with Mark Strong.
All right. Excellent. Very cool. How about you, Will? What you got?
Yeah, I'm in similar shape with as Jim because I spent the last week visiting New York City, so I didn't get a chance to do much more than I did a lot of Netflix binging while I was there, but didn't get a chance to really Netflix. But I didn't really get a chance to catch the cinema. But I did see something the week prior that I think is worth plugging. It's this film called Viva. We screened this. I do screening for this group called AGLIF here in Austin, the Austin Gay and Lesbian International Film Festival, and as part of it, they do a monthly screening, kind of leading up to the festival, open to the general audience, of some sort of gay feature film. This one's called Viva. It's a film from Cuba, and it's a film about this young boy, kind of early 20s or so, who he's living with his father, and he trying to make money, starts to explore the world of drag and drag performance. His father's a former boxer who has these views on machismo and all of that. It's actually a pretty cool movie, very worth watching. It has a U.S. release date of April 29th, 2016. This is not going to be a very widespread movie, just because these movies never are. At best, it's going to be limited, possibly only in a few cities. But keep an eye out for it. It's called Viva. It's a pretty darn cool movie. It might be one that a few months down the line you have to watch on like Amazon VOD, or maybe it drops on Netflix or something like that. But it's the one that I'm plugging this week. VIVA Viva.
All right.
Nice.
Excellent. Very cool. Well, I want to give a quick shout out to one of our listeners. And actually, we have two shout outs. First things first, yes, Jim just mentioned it in chat as well. Paul, who we are going to see in a couple of weeks at Chubfest, sent us some pictures. I just want to share this real quick. Let me get our screen share going. He is apparently enjoying the podcast on Apple TV through the YouTube app. And check it out, guys.
Oh, nice.
There we are in his subscriptions with me making a funny face.
Oh, right on.
At least it got me looking cute in the random screen grab, because I saw one the other day where I'm making the stupidest face in the universe. Like, yeah, it was awful. So,
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
In the next picture he sent, which is kind of the same shot but wider, there's a bunch of subscriptions in the second row, and you're right next to this guy named Boogie.
Am I really? Let me open it a second.
Boogie is he's kind of a Twitter celebrity.
Oh.
In the gaming Twitter sphere.
I also see Love in Stereo. That's
yeah.
a plug.
Let's
for Mike
check out his
Levins.
subscriptions.
Yeah, we are cyber stalking you now, Paul.
Way to go. Oh, goodness. Oh, and there's an inadvertent Game of Thrones spoiler there, I think, too. So we're going to stop our screen share.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Paul, we cannot wait to see you in a couple of weeks. Oh, my gosh. So excited. But thank you for writing in. Also want to give a shout-out to one of our listeners who sent us a message last week and was like, hey, I'm going to be in town for a conference, and I just realized you guys are based partly out of Tucson. Do you guys want to grab a drink or have dinner or something? And, of course, that is Patrick. He is from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We had dinner/drinks with Patrick last week, and it was totally cool meeting Patrick and kind of finding out about this like transcendental like conference he's here for, or was here for. I think he's gone by now, but yeah, listeners, if you're randomly in Tucson or even Austin with Will, look us up.
Yeah.
Love to hang out. We got to chat movies, and it was fun. So Patrick, it was good to meet you.
Very nice.
Indeed. All right, on to my actual plugs. Sorry, guys. So I want to plug a really terrible but amazing for me movie from the 80s. I'm going to preface this by saying at FurFest this weekend, one of our good friends, Carrie, was DJing, and he does a phenomenal job with the music mix. Like, he plays stuff from, like, 60s, 70s, 50s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, whatever, movie soundtracks, whatever is fun. And he played a song from the soundtrack to this movie, and the movie is The Last Dragon. Will, I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah.
But I heard the song, and it took me right back to 1986 with Shogun, the total, like, well, Shonuff, the Shogun of Harlem.
Right.
His name was Shonuff, but that was awesome to kind of be swept back to that. Bruce Leroy is like the main hero character in that film. I'm not going to say too much because Jim hasn't seen it yet, and we're going to watch it right after the show.
I think I've seen one scene. Have I seen one scene?
You saw
have seen one scene, because didn't we do?
Yeah.
We talked about this in best
scenes?
fight scenes. Or
We
something
did.
like
We
that.
did. So Jim watched that scene, but he hasn't seen the whole movie. So we're going to go do that.
I'm in for a treat.
You are.
Show enough.
Nice. But yeah, so that's my plug. The reason I'm also mentioning it is it was remastered on Blu-ray. It looks like back in 2008, and I was watching a little bit of it last night just to kind of see the quality, and I'm amazed to see this film looking so good. I'm used to watching it on an old, worn-out like VHS with like
With the color
terrible,
lines
crazy
through it. Yeah.
color lines, like adjust your tracking. So, you know, it's like, has he got the glow right now, or like do I need to adjust my tracking? I don't know. So anyway, well, that's it for us this week, guys. Thanks so much to those of you who are hanging out with us live. Always a treat. Those of you who are listening in digital tape delay land, we will definitely, we won't be talking when you're listening to it. That will have been days ago, but we appreciate you listening even so.
And come
next
back
week.
Next week. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got Captain America, the Winter Civil Spider-Man War thing,
Thor
whatever
movie.
it is. Right. Thor. Civil Thor is. Oh, that's.
Oh! I don't even think he's in this movie, but it's still a good.
Damn it! That would have been awesome. Yeah. Maybe it's a surprise. Maybe he comes in at the end and he's
that would be a huge surprise, wouldn't it, if Thor showed up in this
Brad, you're such a
It would fucking blow me away.
Oh, gosh. Whatever. All right.
Tell your friends to come watch us next week and join in the fun for Civil War.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have some special guests next week. We'll have more information coming about that soon. But we'll see you next time. Take it easy. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I believe I can fly.